Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Jai Gurudev. I didn't think I'd be here today. It's been a journey for sure. It started actually 3 years ago when Guruji was here in our house. And he had just come for a darshan and to pay a visit here. And as he was leaving, he said to me, we had a small temple upstairs, and it was a mad rush that right before he came. And I had my office there, and next to my office was a small puja table. And so when Guruji was coming, we were like, uh-oh, he's coming. We better make it look like we have a whole room, you know? So we thought, you know what, we'll put on a show, we'll paint the room, I'll move my office stuff out, then after he goes, we'll move it all back in, and he won't know any better. You can see how that turned out. But anyways, so I was, so Guruji had come, and as he was leaving, we were going down the stairs, and he said, Sai Ram, you should build a temple. And this is literally as he was taking his suitcase and he was heading to the airport. He said, you should build a temple. And I said, yeah, Guruji, you know, we were in a bit of a rush, so yeah, I'll do it better. And he goes, yeah. No, I mean your basement. And I had plans for this basement. There was going to be ping pong tables, there was going to be movie theaters, you know, really nice man cave. And it's like he read my mind, because then I said, okay, yeah. So I was thinking in my head, okay, we'll make a small part of the basement a place for the deities. And then as I was thinking this thought, he said, Sai Ram, no, the whole basement. And I kind of paused at that time, and I kind of was like, oh, okay. And he said, I'll be coming in September, so you should get started. So that was September of 2019, and he was supposed to come September of 2020. So in March, we started construction here. And we ran into some really big problems. What you see here is an act of grace. It's not an act of a human, I'll tell you that much. And I'll share with you the story. So we started the building, and the contractors we used had made a mess of certain things, and the city wasn't letting it get approved, because we got this all permitted through the city. So I was in a very difficult position. COVID had started, so we just stopped construction, because nobody really wanted to come and do any work. So it was just a pile of insulation that we had taken off the walls, and it was just sitting in the center. And we had an opportunity to go to Germany. There was one time period where Germany allowed Canada. So we went to see Guruji, and then he was like, how's the construction of the temple going? And I said, Guruji, it's not really going. We have a problem with the contractors, and I don't know what to do. He said, find somebody who knows the value of the temple, and then choose that person, and that person's going to build your temple. So I was like, okay. That is very specific, and how am I going to find that in Canada? The problem just became bigger, I realized. When I went to Guruji, he just made the problem bigger, because now I had to not just find a contractor to fix the problem, but not to find a contractor to fix the problem who understood a temple and had the devotion to build it. So the rarity of finding that specific kind of person was very difficult, because we had people lined up, but then they didn't fit the bill. They weren't bhaktas, they weren't devotees, they didn't understand the value of the temple. And this is what I feel Guruji does for us on our path. He takes us to a point, he gives us a task, and then he takes us to the point where you lose all hope. There's nothing you can do. You know, I'm a project manager for a big bank here. Exactly. So I'm a project manager. This is what I do for a living. I manage projects. I troubleshoot issues. This one was beyond my capability. I was not able to find somebody. And so what did I do? I got down on my knees and I prayed. And that's what you do when you're put in a position, be it a temple, be it in our lives, be it in any situation where we are. That's what has brought us all here, because of that prayer, that sincere prayer. We tried, there were many, many more people that tried to come here, I'll tell you that much. But they were not able to cross the road. They weren't able to make it here. It's the sincerest of prayers that get answered, that bring us here, and then the truth is revealed. Haribo. So back to my journey, as I was trying to find this individual, and I was in SPN with Guruji, I said, Guruji, I really don't know what to do. We're trying to find this person. He goes, I think Swami Tulsidas' father, he might know something about construction. Ask him. I was like, oh, okay. So we went and we asked Kalpit. Kalpit at that time had free time, and he came down here. And in last year of September, I don't know if you know if he's here somewhere, but every day he would put on mantras of Guruji. Every day he would listen to discourses of Guruji. So when you walk in here, you feel the vibration here is not because of any other reasons, but Bhaktas stepped on this floor. And Bhaktas made this happen, There's only in Toronto, this size of an event, people were coming to me and said, what an amazing organizational, event that you've put on. It's almost seamless. And in Toronto, right now, we have 3 devotees, right? And people flew in, and we made this happen with his grace, because this can't happen with 3 people, I tell you that. And so Kalpit came. He did an amazing job. Every single stud here, like behind the plaster wall. Now I have all these technical terms of construction, which I never knew before, by the way. So I'll show off a little bit. So behind every one of these, behind the plaster is like these stud wooden pieces, and then you affix the plaster wall to it. And every wall is written with the Gayatri of Radha. Everywhere here. Okay. And this was handwritten by all the devotees that came here and served. Again, a place for the bhaktas, right? That's why this place, even when I walk in here, you feel something else, right? Because this was built by bhaktas. And then, after Kalpit was seconded to go to Elmira, which hopefully many of you make, there's a darshan Guruji is going to, for the Paranitya Narsimha temple, that he's going to do a visit for, and then next year it's getting inaugurated. Again, construction stopped. And I didn't know what to do. And again, I was stuck, because in December I went to see Guruji, thinking I'd be back in January to get a head start, because he's coming in September. So I was there in December, January, and then my trip with Guruji just kept getting extended and extended. So when I was finished with Germany, he said, hey, where are you going? I said, I'm going home, Guruji. He said, oh, you should come to Mauritius. So I said, oh, okay, sure, okay. We have to have faith in the Guru's word, so we'll go to Mauritius. So Mauritius came, Mauritius finished in February. I was like, okay, so I'm calculating each time, right? So the project plan in my head, the time to go live keeps decreasing, right? So I'm thinking, okay. So at that time, Guruji says at the end of Mauritius, you should come to India. I was like, should I? So I didn't want to second guess him. I've been through the whole process. So I was like, okay, Guruji, I'll come with you to India. So we spent 3 months in India. And it was now May 15th. And I was thinking, okay, I need to go home, because I started this process in December, and now it's now May. I have 3 months to get this temple built. And all we had was just plaster walls, no flooring, nothing. None of this was even up yet. So it's like, okay. So then I go to the UK, and Guruji says, oh, where are you going, Sai Ram? Make sure you stay for the whole inauguration of the temple in the UK. So now it's end of May, and I was laughing at the UK people going, oh, you guys are so behind, we're way ahead, and, And then Guruji makes me stay even longer. So now it's the end of May. I get here June the 1st, and then what do? I start praying again because I have no other option. I start praying because literally we have 2.5 months. Every contractor that I'm trying to call to do things is not working out. Guruji says, get a devotee. I'm remembering that Adesh that he gave, and I'm trying to figure out who I can call. So I call Kalpit. Kalpit says, Sai Ram, I'm really busy. I don't think I'm going to make it. Because he was supposed to come for a few weeks. And at that point, I was like, oh, wow. Now I'm going to have to pick up a screwdriver. And I don't know about the safety and security of everyone else that's going to attend the inauguration if that happens. So I get here, and then I call Guruji. Like, I'm at a point now where I have no other option but to put it in his hands. I said, Guruji, we have 2.5 months till you come here. I don't know how I'm going to get this done without some miracle. He said, don't worry, leave it in my hands. And I was like, okay. Again, the human mind is processing this going, this is not happening. But okay, let this go. Let's let it be in his hands. The next day, and honestly, Guruji has such a busy schedule for those who travel with him. He's constantly moving around the world, like almost every day. Like he was saying yesterday, somebody asked him, oh, Guruji, will you come to Toronto again? And he said, I'll try to fit 13 months into a 12-month calendar and make it. Because that's how busy he is. So he says to me, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And he has thousands of devotees. And I was like, okay, I don't think Guruji is really going to respond back because he's really busy, but let's see what happens. The next day, I get a call from him. And he says to me, Sai Ram, I have your person. I said, huh? Okay. And he says, I'm going to send Virat from Portugal. So we should give... So, you know, the project manager I am, I'm like, Virat? Who's Virat? I don't know Virat. So I call Virat and I give him an interview, literally. It's like, Virat, what are your qualifications? What can you do? He said, oh, I can build some temples, but you need to hold a tape measure because I can't really measure that well. And I'm thinking, maybe not the best resource for this job. Inches to centimeters, that's his problem. But he knows how to hold a measuring tape. So I was thinking, okay, this is now, Guruji's made this problem even harder because now I have to sort out a way for Virat to come from Portugal to Toronto, and then he's got to stay here, and we've got to build this temple. And I was like, I don't know if there's enough time for 2 people to get this amount of work done. So anyways, we journeyed on, and we were just laughing the other day about perfect mistakes that were made. Perfect mistakes, which are mistakes, not really mistakes, but to our mind, they're mistakes, but to him, they're grace. So what happened was this altar, which we ordered from India, instead of being cut out like this, it came out as one whole piece. So for some reason, the carver missed the trick and didn't realize, which we told him many times, for a temple. So it came in all one piece. So that piece fit in here, the background piece fit in here. And what happened was we didn't know what to do, so we called one of the devotees in Poland, who's an architect, who told us, he drew a line out, and he said, you should cut it out like this exactly, and you will get a nice look, and that should be fine. So this was before it was shipped over. We tell the carver to cut it out this way, and then he says, okay, I'll send you the piece. And I said, the Indian side of me said, I want all the pieces because I paid for it, right? I was like, I want all of it. Like, you can't keep the little pieces. Like, they may be like, you know, things that you want to discard, but if I paid for it, I want it. And my wife was like, you know what? You always can't get rid of things. What are you going to do with all this stuff? I'm like, just trust me. I don't know. Let's just get it. I need it in my hands. I don't know why. So anyways, as they arrived, they started making this perfect altar. This became Guruji's asan, the bit that was cut out of the middle. The background piece became the background for the temple. And the perfect temple started to come about, right? And then after that, because we spent so much time here, I had no time to devote to the back. All the marquees that are up, all the decorations are up. A lot of the Canadians couldn't make it. A lot of the people here that you see were not able to make it beforehand, a week or two beforehand, to help us out. So again, what do you do in these situations? You start praying. So I threw up a prayer again, and I said, Guruji, I don't know what to do in my heart, but I don't know if the outside event's going to be a success because there's no one that can help out with this. And then the weekend, right after that prayer, the weekend after, we had a Seva day, and 3 or 4 Canadians showed up. And in that, so Nirmala and Mike were back there, wonderful souls. So they started walking around, and I don't know why, I just started telling Nirmala all the things I wanted. I don't know, I just was like, you know what, just hope and prayer here. I said, and she's the first time we met in person, by the way. Okay, so I'm walking her around and say, so Nirmala, we need 2 tents back there. We don't have backgrounds. We need a stage. And Bhargavi's like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? I'm like, I don't know. Let's just go with this. Just see what happens, right? And I'm like, oh, this electrical panel needs like to be covered. And I'm like walking around giving like 10 things that I know I can't do. Like it's impossible. Then she turns around, she says, don't worry, Sai Ram, I'm writing this all down. I'll take care of all of it for you. And Mike and Nirmala live 3.5 hours away. Ontario is a huge country. And they have a full-time job, okay? And every weekend, they would drive here at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., from there to come here after their work, set up all the stuff in the outside, take our garbage from all the construction work we had, drive it all the way back, and then come back the next weekend. And right before this event, they came almost every day to help out, And this, in my opinion, is, I know they are very new to Bhakti Marga. And one thing I learned throughout this whole process, and Guruji was saying it in some of the satsangs that he was giving over this week, is there's a part of us that belongs to God, right? There is a part of us that is Satchitananda. We have this downloaded information into our Atma that's clouded by our minds that doesn't realize what we're here for. And just like that, people who don't know why they're here start showing up because the program is turned on. You don't know. You cannot resist this place. You cannot resist the Guru's feet because the soul is searching. The soul is calling each and every person. And when you come and your soul opens and it starts revealing the truth, and I saw everybody dancing, the Satchitananda is on display for a little bit. The taste is given. A little drop is given to you. A little drop of that Amrit. You will always want to come back. This is grace. This is the grace that built this whole temple. This is the grace that comes from Paramahamsa Sri Vishwananda. And I wish this grace, which is starting this journey here with Srimati Radha Rani, the epitome of devotion, the epitome of bhakti. What a rare opportunity here in Toronto, Canada, that we have to have her here. It is an amazing, amazing privilege. The first temple of its kind in North America. The first temple of its kind in Bhakti Marga. And this beautiful painting that represents, as Prithu Maharaj was saying earlier, the simplicity of their devotion, but yet the depth that they came with. All they did was think about Krishna. Devotional service is the ultimate goal. Devotional service is not doing a job. This is something that I learned throughout this whole process, because for me it was, okay, put up these walls, put up the drywall, paint. No, it is put up the dry walls, then we think about Radha, we play the music of Radha, while we're building it, we keep our focus on the Lord. This is devotional service. We don't go to work just to do our work. Everything we give is for Krishna. Everything we do is for Guruji. That is devotional service. That is what the process I myself went through throughout this whole journey, is what is the meaning of devotional service. And sometimes it's just, I remember as the craziness was going on throughout this week, I just stopped and I just stood where Rishi Sambhava is, and I just looked at this beautiful painting and the epitome of what the end is, right? Uddhava, who was one of the most learned, went to Krishna and asked, tell me what I can learn. And he said, no. You go to the gopis first. And he looks at the gopis and he's like, they don't have any knowledge. But yet, he saw in their devotion of Krishna the truth of what we're here for. That devotional experience, the bhakti that awakens when we start to serve. And what a remembrance we have of this wall to always ground us back in what we're supposed to be here for. It's not about how many people come. It's not about how beautiful the pujas are. At the end of the day, if we don't leave here with a yearning for God that's constantly in our mind, that's constantly attacking us and opening up something that needs to be revealed, then we've lost the opportunity that's been given. So, with that, I'd like to ask everyone to make an effort. I know there's how many people are here from Canada? Hands up. Wow. So we're going to make this 350. We're going to make this 300. We're going to make this 100, 500. Haribo. That's what Canada is going to do. And that's what North America is going to do. Because one thing I learned throughout this whole process is also to not underestimate the power of Sangha. Because in this whole process, as much as I wanted Canada to grow and flourish, as I'm responsible for the growth of Canada here, for Bhakti Marga, I realized the importance of Sangha. And how Sangha brings us all together. How we all have each other's back. Regardless of country, regardless of race, regardless of gender. When we are called for Guruji, when we are called for Bhakti, they all come together. We had, for some of you who have been here, the thousands of hands that have been helping from all over the world. You know, it was really touching. Guruji uses the word Vasudeva Kudumbam, which is, we are all brothers and sisters, right? Just as he said earlier, the Atma, which joins us all, pervades in us all. There is no difference. So, I wanted to share one experience. About 2 years ago, I was going through a very difficult time in my life. And 4 years now. 4 years. Been 4 years. And Guruji said to me, Sai Ram, they're bigger. So I'd just come back. I'd left Bhakti Marga for 10 years. I'd just come back. And as I was trying to reestablish my faith in all of this again, Guruji says to me, Sai Ram, there are even bigger tests on the way. And I'm like, I don't know if I can survive any more tests. And so 2 years ago, I was in Mauritius. 2 years ago, I was in Mauritius. And at that time, I received some really awful news. And I was in the Mauritius at that time had a quarantine, and I was put in a hotel by myself. And at that time, I didn't know who to call. I couldn't call my parents, couldn't call my friends. It was something that was very deep. And the person that called me that day was Guruji. And he didn't just call me once. He didn't call me twice. He didn't call me 3 times. He called me 8 times that day to check in on me. to make sure I was okay. And in return, he gave me faith, he gave me strength, and he gave me bhakti. And in that process, I had a debt, personally, that I felt I owed him. So in that process of going through trying to pay this debt, I was in SPN for 3 months. And I have a technology background, and I helped them come up with a system to bring newcomers through a very automated way because they don't have the manpower to deal with each newcomer. Then in Mauritius, Guruji asked me to cook for 75 people every day for 2 weeks. And we did that. And then Guruji said, come and build this temple. And I did that. I still don't feel that debt is repaid. And this is what happens when you're in front of love. It cannot be repaid. I tried. I gave it my all. But that debt from the Guru, it cannot be repaid. It's too big. And every time you give, he gives even more. So when people come and say, you did it, I have no pleasure. When people come and say, good job, I cannot say it was the job that I did. And this is the state he leaves you in. To understand how great the love of God is, how great the love of Guru is. And I hope every one of you who are already on the path may experience this. And for those who are just getting on the path to experience this. Jai Gurudev.